to me, detailing, the actual work of it is like a creative process. You have to be problem solving for everything.
Detailer's Roadmap Cruise Control, where we navigate the roadways of life, business, and everything in between. Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Cruise Control Podcast. I am here at MTE, Mobile Tech Expo 2025. And during these podcasts, we're trying to kind of get some of the major players in the industry to come by and take a quick visit with us. And I'm super excited to have Ian from AutoFiber here. Ian and I have known each other for a long time. Super great guy. If you have not had the opportunity to talk to Ian and do business with AutoFiber, highly recommend it. Just a super cool guy, and I'm really, honestly, I feel blessed to have you as a friend. I don't say that to every one of my guests, but we always have a good time, and it's really fun. So thanks for coming on board, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Here. Yeah. You know, we're trying to kind of be a little bit topical on some of these things. I think we can talk about efficiency, we can talk about business, we can talk about running retail. But from your perspective, why don't we just give your background on what AutoFiber is? You know, tell people what they may not already know about your brand as well.
I mean, AutoFiber, we're a brand of premium microfiber products, and we're really focused on designing the products to solve problems for detailers. So, I mean, the main philosophy of our business is gathering feedback from detailers. For sure, yeah, so really that is the main philosophy of the business, and I think that's why we're successful, and that really is my mindset in the business. And like from a business perspective, I really think of a business as just a problem-solving system.
Yeah.
So the whole system of the business, from design to fulfillment to marketing, is solving problems. And I think a lot of people that are new with a business kind of get caught up like getting frustrated with the problems. But my mindset is to like head straight into the problems and try to fix them. And that's kind of where the competition falls away.
Yeah.
Is where, because most people and businesses that aren't successful hide from the problems and sweep them under the rug. And I think that's just like a business philosophy that can work for every business.
Yeah.
And gosh, like when you think about detailing, you're solving a problem for your customer.
Yeah.
And so the same thing for me, like my products, I'm trying to solve problems. I want our detail customers to come to me with problems with our products or any products, and how can we help them solve?
Yeah, one of the things I've really been excited about watching what you do is like, I'm like, dude, Ian has another product out, and he just released this product, and now he has on his third version of this product.
Yep.
You're kind of always evolving, like you have your mid on a stick, right?
Yep.
Like when you first came out with that for one of my brands, I'm like, I got to get that. That'd be a perfect fit. So we did that, and now I think you're 3 or 4 generations into that. Is that part of that process?
100%, yeah, because there's always, it's almost like a pendulum, right? You solve one problem and you create another problem, and it's like you're swinging back and forth to try to narrow in on solving the problem, you know, in the most efficient way for the customer. So yeah, like I always want to be updating the products based upon feedback. And if we have to go back to the drawing board to make our customers more happy, I just don't want to be stagnant.
Yeah.
And like this industry is ripe for that type of innovation. Like it's like a infinite well of potential.
Right.
And it's not, and it's because other companies are innovating, right? And then we're innovating, and that changes the whole problem set. And detailers are naturally innovative people, because there's just a million different ways to do every cleaning process or detailing process. So it's never ending. And that's why we keep having products and keep developing new things and solving new problems. I have a bunch of other stuff like in the pipeline here. And I'm getting better at it, like using 3D printing and prototyping and getting faster at the prototyping of stuff. So it's really exciting.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's like an art project, right? It's like an art and craft project that goes on forever.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think that other businesses can learn from that is that you kind of take that what I call is the Microsoft approach to product release.
Yeah.
Right. Like there are certain people that when they try to do a product, like you'd still be on Rev 1 of the bin on a stick product. I'm just using it as an example because you wanted it to be perfect and solve every problem before. But from you, they're great products from the very beginning, like Windows, for example, or even Apple iOS. They release new releases, but you're not afraid to be innovative and in that way.
100%. Well, you can't understand the problem space and how customers are going to use your product until you get the product out into the wild, right? So you have to get some sort of product out there and then gather feedback and then innovate. And so I think it's the same way with detailers. And Chris had talked about this in his presentation at the expo about the successful websites and businesses change their price all the time. Like I really think you need to experiment with pricing and change your pricing, raise your price, lower your price, and just see how the demand changes with that, and change your services and your packages. And if you're not doing that, you're not gathering enough information to feedback on your business and improve it.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with actually the processes you use. You always have to be testing. And that really is what a business is. Like fundamentally, a business is a problem-solving system for your customers, and that's what value is, right? So, value for for websites, you're solving a problem for the customer, and you're providing value, and you're always innovating and thinking on the front line.
Yeah,
and so I'm doing the same.
All that stuff.
I'm doing the same thing with the product design. And that's why we look innovative, but really, it all comes from the customers and the customer feedback.
Yeah, but it's not like you're releasing something that's like junk, right? Like you're not going to take in a detailing space, they wouldn't take a brand new sanding disc and decide to go to town on some customer's car completely untested.
Yep.
You've done the testing and 3D modeling and all of that stuff already, so you know it's going to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want to encourage people, like, don't be afraid to. You don't have to have it perfect the very first time. Realize that because you're a big data guy, right? Like, what kind of data do you get in your own business to try to make good decisions?
I mean, gosh, one of the hardest parts so one of the biggest complaints we've had for our customers is, gosh, you're out of stock, right? So we run out of stock because we have a popular product. And so like trying to predict stock, and detailers have the same problem. Like, detailers will come and they need something air freighted right away. So the biggest data piece is just trying to predict future sales based on past sales, and then there's the seasonality of the business. But I mean, there's data from like when we're testing products and prototyping stuff and having different types of people test the product. One of the best feedback actually comes from people who aren't detailers, right? So I'll test the products with people like friends or family and just have them hold the product and observe them using it. And I think it's a little bit different for detailers because it's such a specific task and every car is different. So like to me, detailing, the actual work of it is like a creative process. You have to be problem solving for everything.
But you can go in, one of the things we always recommend for detailing is video, like set up a video camera and watch yourself if you're a single operator, or watch your crew, or both, and you can tweak that. Like for me, having the detailer's helper belt, I love when I see people post time-lapse videos of them doing a car and watching them go back it, because it's like this. And then I've had them where literally they don't move, with the product, they don't have to leave the car. But that just gives you, and it could be a cart, it could be, overhead sprayers, whatever. But it's getting that data to know where the inefficiencies are or where things are going wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people underestimate how much just minutes or seconds or moments add up over the time of a detail and then you add that to multiple details over a week, and then a year, right? Like all these little things add up over time, and people underestimate how much a small change, like the detail helper, or just a small change in a product design, or the quality of the towel you're using, or something like that, how much that adds up over time.
Yeah.
Because in the moment, it seems like minutes or seconds, but you do that same task hundreds of times inefficiently, and it adds up to hours.
Well, like even one of your drying towels, which I actually carry, you know, for one of my brands, we did it for the RV space. I put it in the RV space, and our tagline was dry any size RV in 7 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Right? Because you literally can just walk around a huge RV with one towel.
Yeah.
We're using the Dreadnought XL, which is 20 by 40. But if you think about it in terms of like drying a car, if you're doing washing, if you're having to dry that car multiple times, or if it takes a long time, let's say it's 2 minutes a car. Well, if you do 200 cars a year, or however many cars a month, that's a lot of minutes, right?
Absolutely. So I have this debate with people all the time, because a lot of people use like air to blow off the cars and stuff like that. And I think that's great for seams, but with a towel like the Dreadnought, it's just uncomparable. The speed, like that, you can dry a car way faster. But that's just an example of the way like products change the processes of details to make it more efficient.
Well, it's like Marcus Lemonis talks about, was process, product, people, right? Like that's I think those are his 3 Ps. And those are the 3 elements, and you have to dial those in as efficiently and just as well as you can with each one of them.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where like operating procedures are big, especially with, you know, employees, right? So that's one thing that, like our business is pretty lean. I don't have a lot of employees or workers and stuff. And that's because we're constantly improving our processes and trying to become more efficient, just cutting down minutes in the day. And we were just constantly going back and reevaluating in the same way.
You don't necessarily throw people at the problem. You throw process at the problem first.
Yes.
And then figure out if you need people at that point.
Exactly. And then when you're throwing people at the problem, you have to do the thing, like go and observe them. You know, and figure out ways to just cut minutes off of the process. And sometimes you can cut out a whole person.
Well, Amazon is great at that, and not necessarily in a good way. Because I noticed, like, sometimes you'll get a big box from Amazon that literally just has a little box. And so I'm thinking, well, that must have been the closest box to this person. And so they threw my wife's eyeliner in a 20 by 30 box, you know, so.
I think the next couple of years are going to be the most opportunity for innovation and streamlining processes with AI. Right. So especially for your business, you know, digital type stuff, just the ability to use like ChatGPT or all these AI agents, and we're going to be able to like. I think one of the biggest sticking points for detailers, especially guys that are single business owners, 1 or 2 guys, is like stopping to answer the phone or to respond to emails or texts. And we're going to be able to set up AI agents that are able to take over those processes and at least get you further down to the finish line.
Have you had a conversation with those yet?
Oh, I do it all the time.
I mean, if you don't know this, you can actually have a 7 to like, I think it's 15-minute sales call with an AI agent that speaks to you with ums and ands and pauses. Like, they've tested it, and the focus groups, most of them, like 80% of them, could not tell that it wasn't a real person.
And I think one thing that people are missing or don't understand yet is like when you teach a human an operating procedure, there's drift. Like they drift into their own process and change it and kind of take shortcuts and stuff. and then you have to go back and retrain them and reevaluate them. And with an AI agent, they're just consistent over time, and they're just going to continue to get better and more efficient. So to me, like, you really need to be spending time. Like, gosh, if you're a detailer, you should definitely be learning about detailing and watching videos and learning stuff about that. But you really need to spend your time like playing with ChatGPT and learning about the future of AI and just get comfortable with it.
Yeah, we just did one of our last episodes a couple weeks ago was with a friend of mine named Nicole. That's her whole business, is helping companies implement AI tools. And that episode was like mind-blowing. And I may have said this on an earlier episode this week, but the other night we went to Moore here in the, and I'm trying to hit macros and all that kind of stuff with my nutrition right now. So I took a picture of the menu and said, ChatGPT, I need to maximize protein and minimize calorie intake. What should I choose on the menu, and can you give me the macros? Ahi tuna, and gave me the explanation. It was like 450 calories, 51 grams of protein, and that's what I ordered. Like, dude, I literally uploaded a picture of the menu.
Yeah, that's great. Like, I didn't even think about that. I haven't tried that yet.
But like, the idea is that, and that's not detailing related, but like, you can do inventory with it. So she gave the example that if you have all your products on a shelf, right? Like, you have a bunch of microfiber towels and you can see the label names, you would have them. It will say, well, how many dreadnoughts do I have left in my inventory? You can shoot a picture of it and it will do it for you. And it'll inventory everything in that photo and spit it out in an Excel sheet if you want. It's
amazing. I mean, the possibilities are infinite and the potential is amazing. So I really think that everyone needs to be focusing on that in their business, and then asking companies like yours for help on it.
That's a really good point, because like most detailers would be like, what the hell do I need AI for my thing? Like, you're able, they're implementing some AI in their stuff and looking at different chat bots and Zapier and everything's getting smarter with that stuff. But you need to recognize that if you're in business, this is something in what we're talking about is efficiency. Like, that whole answering the phone and all that stuff, there is a personal touch, but you can do it up front with chat bots or sales bots or whatever to really.
Yeah, the other cool thing, like with a lot of these programs, like, you can dump a bunch of like files about your business, like dump files that are like your price sheets and information, and then go and ask it questions and ask it to write articles or ask it to answer questions. So just to like re-manipulate the data and present it in a different way to your customers. Like, if you need to create like a fact sheet for your website, or you can just dump like your pricing and your services into that, and then ask it to create a frequently asked questions.
And it'll crawl your website and gather all that for you. You say, can you crawl this URL and gather all the information? That's how we use a chat bot. It's freaking crazy, because it literally just crawled every page and every word, and you can say, well, hey, will this product stain my hands? Well, based on customer feedback, you want to use the gloves that come with this product because it can tend to stain hands. I'm like, that's a question I would have to answer over and over and over again, even if you put it in the FAQ, right?
Yeah, gosh, the sales process for everything is really about answering questions for your customers. So did you ever read the book, They Ask, You Answer? That's a great book. I really suggest that book for everybody, because I think it comes back to what we talked about at the beginning. Like, when you're in a business, customers ask stupid questions, right? And really, you can't get frustrated. You need to take the stupid questions as an opportunity to educate the customer and teach them on why you're an expert. And you really can leverage artificial intelligence to become better at that process for your customers.
100%.
And it won't be long before, like, the AI agent is taking you 90% of the way.
I mean, it's crazy the things that it can do. The one thing I wanted to talk about, because you're here, is I think this is something I'm really passionate about, is this whole balance of life.
Yeah.
I know that you're a smaller company, you're lean that way. It was a family company, right?
Yeah.
And so, I talk to you and I'm like, you surf every morning and all this stuff. We've been talking, and I talk about this all the time, but we've talked to a couple of my guests this weekend that, what does that balance look like, and what's really the purpose of your business? And I'm interested in your philosophy. You're not that much, you're younger than me, but not by a ton. But I feel like that you represent to me what I think other people can do. You're very successful in your business, but you still have a very successful life. You're fit, you take care of yourself. You gave me that tip about my tallow stuff. My skin feels better already. So, but I like for you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. Gosh, I mean, to me, especially like trying to invent new products and solve problems, like I spend more time in my business thinking, like sitting in my yard in the morning, having a coffee.
This episode is brought to you by Detailer's Roadmap. Hey, spoiler alert, that's us. We all know you need a kick-ass website in order to be successful with your business. The good news is, at Detailer's Roadmap, kick-ass websites, that's kind of what we do. With the latest performance, designs, and SEO strategies, Detailer's Roadmap is your one-stop shop to be successful on the web. And don't forget, we have the best support team in the industry. Whether you're an existing partner looking to improve your lead generation or you need a brand new website, Detailer's Roadmap is here to help you be successful on the web. So go to detailersroadmap.com/success and get started today. That's detailersroadmap.com/SUCCESS.
And just thinking about problems than I do like grinding out the work. And there's definitely a time and a place for grinding out the work. But I think you need to take the time off and like relax and put yourself more into a state where you're disconnected from the business so that you can solve those problems. And a lot of that has to do with, fitness, right? And sleep, getting enough sleep, and like kind of cross-pollinating from different aspects of life. But I mean, like I've spent a lot of time and hours grinding in the business, and it really can become detrimental to the business and your mindset. So,
and has that changed over time? Is that something you recognize, like, all right, this is not healthy for me, and it's also not helping the business? And what changes did you make, and like what was the result of?
Well, sometimes you just have to shake yourself up, right? Like, and just it's totally changed over time. Well, and the more I do it, the more you learn that time off and the time sitting and thinking, or just having conversations with friends and business owners outside of the industry just really helps. So,
do you have mentors and coaches and stuff outside the industry, or just your friends? Your friend group, or you and like more entrepreneurial friend group?
Yeah. My friends are entrepreneurs in different industries. So, I would say I don't have any like specific mentors necessarily, and I'm kind of like an introspective person.
Yeah.
So, and I really self-analyze everything. So, I try to fold everything back on itself and question everything. Like my biggest strength ever since I was young is just asking questions. I'm a question asker, and I ask myself questions about the product, and I ask customers about the products. And so that's what it's all about for me, is just having an open mind to everything.
And how would that work? Like if I'm a detail shop owner, kind of feeling like I'm on the grind and the hustle and all that kind of stuff. Like how would you, if I'm we'll just use a younger detailer, saying, hey, Ian, I see you're successful. You seem to be healthy and happy and all, because you're a happy guy.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I get that? How do I get the success that you have without like killing myself?
Yeah. You definitely have to build the foundation, and you have to attack problems head on, right? So I think when you become unhealthy in your business and your life, is when you start to ignore problems.
Yeah.
So you really have to, if there's a problem, you need to solve it and take responsibility and try to fix the problem. So I think that's where the unhealthy mindset comes from, is from hiding from stuff. And God, I've made that mistake hundreds of times over and over again, and I still catch myself making that mistake. And it's hard, you know, because a business just isn't what you're doing in your business, the work. You know, there's the business aspect and the marketing aspect, and you really just have to take responsibility. Another thing you need to do is, I think that shows like this, like SEMA or Mobile Tech industry events, it can be like a good relaxing time, and you cross-pollinate and meet with other business owners, and the best ideas come from this. And it's not necessarily during the show, it's everything that happens after the show, before the show, the meetings in the hallway, the dinners with competitors.
Yeah.
So I think the networking part of a show like this is invaluable.
Yeah, I think like the education day, you know, you can go and listen to speakers and all that kind of stuff, which is super valuable information, but it's the conversations that happen after, out in the hall, in between, and then in the mornings, and then, you know, they had an event last night with the 80s band and you know, all of that different stuff to be able to sit and talk. But you know, in our evening, you only have like 3 nights, right? So it's like, all right, well, I'll see Corey this year, and but, you know, most of our friends, I don't know if you're like this, but most of the friends that I have that are industry friends, I just see a couple of times a year at these events. And be able to
exactly.
Connect, right?
Yeah, 100%. And you build those relationships over time, and new people come into the industry, and you get introduced to new people, and you never know what will come out of a relationship. Yeah. You know, there's relationships that started 10 years ago that come into fruition now. Yeah. So there's a long tail to all of that, which is, I'll never stop. As long as I have this business and I'm in this industry, I'll always come to these events. And it's not even about the booth or the product. It's about the relationships. And I think that kind of thing matters more in our industry than a lot of others, because there's so many small businesses, one-man shops. Like, you need to bounce ideas off of other people. Gosh, when you think about like the work from home thing in the whole corporate space, like that, they become less efficient because people aren't cross-pollinate those ideas. But that's actually like the natural state of the detailing industry, right? And so, but where that changes is at events like this, or in groups like the IDA, right? And then a lot of people are like, oh no, I can just network online, like on Facebook or whatever. And I just don't think that it's not sufficient, right? The type of communication, the face-to-face communication is just on a different level. Yeah. And that's actually one thing, like we're setting up in San Diego, we're setting up like a retail store and a training space. And I really want the place to become like a community, right? So the more we move into the digital age and the digital future, and we're living our lives online, dealing with AI and, you know, putting those barriers between us, we need some more of that.
Yeah, your new AI girlfriend is not going to help you with your business. I mean, it might help with your business, but...
But, you know, even like at Chris's talk, he had talked about how the most successful detailing businesses are having events, right? And having these with their customers, and networking with their customers and car groups. So that, not just in our industry, but every industry, it's just the face-to-face interaction. It means more now than it used to, because of the way the world is changing, and the world will keep changing like that. People will become more sequestered, so we need to fight against that. And it's a huge opportunity for all of our businesses.
Yeah, and I know you and I are on the same page with our criticisms of social media and Facebook groups and all that stuff. And that's one of the problems with social media that you may not realize, but like if you're just spending all your times networking in these detailing groups, I recommend you get out of 90% of them anyway, which I did. No offense to any of them in particular, but because there is this group think thing that happens that you're not really getting any new ideas injecting into your system. And if that's a good way for you to connect to particular people, to then, I went up and talked with Rennie. I helped Rennie a little bit with his presentation, and we talked about making these genuine connections. Well, that can start in a Facebook group, for example, if you meet someone, but you have to then put the effort in and take it offline.
And I think it's a lot of people think that spend their time online think there's a lot of drama in the detailing industry, and when you come to these shows and deal with people, there just isn't. It just doesn't really
There's
exist.
a lot of drama online in the groups in the detailing industry.
The drama, it comes from the way that social media works. So it's not an industry thing, it's a social media problem. And I think people can get skewed and confused and like project that social media problem onto the industry. But like, I've been in this industry for almost 25 years selling products to detailers, and I've sold like microfiber products to a bunch of different industries. And I think detailers are the best people. They're my favorite type of people. They're creative people, which I like. They're problem solvers, and they're all real nice and humble. Like, most people are like self-made. And I mean, the other crazy thing, there's so many successful businesses out there that nobody knows about that are just crushing it, and they're not on social media. Those guys that are doing the best aren't spending their time in Facebook groups or doom scrolling on TikTok or whatever.
I always say it's because they don't have time, because they're too busy working and cashing checks.
Exactly. So the most successful businesses, you don't know.
Don't see.
You don't know, because they're out there working, spending most of their time on their business. And I'm not saying that there's not a value to the social media, because there really is. Like, it connects us with people that you never would have met before.
And using it as a tool, I just had, we were talking about different social media and how to use it and all of that stuff. But like, if you use it as a tool to reach your customers, and in your case, your customers are detailers. But if you're reaching other detailers with your content, you're missing. You're missing the boat.
Absolutely. Bit, right? I mean, I think social media is. Think about how much this industry's changed because of social media. Like, it really is responsible for like car care and detailing becoming a way more prestigious thing. And I think, like, if I had to assign the main reason that the industry has had so much growth, it's like Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and projecting that like almost FOMO, right? With with like clean cars and beautiful cars, right? So, but you have to connect with your customers and not connect so much with, your industry peers, unless it's in a mentorship way. Right. So that's what I mean. Like, this is the place to do that connection. So,
well, to glean information not only from other successful, detailers, but just successful business operators like yourself, and people kind of think of these shows as, I'm looking at Oscar Hernandez, who's in the Mafia. He's over there for Stinger. He runs a very successful shop in Southern California, right? I'm not going to go talk to him about Stinger. Like, your opportunity to then go say, hey, what are you doing? How did you do this? And for you, you're like, what are you learning from your customers and that kind of thing?
Well, 100%. Like, so for example, a couple nights ago, the rag company, I went out to dinner with those guys, and we shared ideas on like business processes and solving problems and what's coming in the future. And that type of relationship, even though they're a competitor, they're also a friend, and we share information and talk about, like, we talked about potential tariffs, like how that would affect our business and how to, adjust that, or different processes and systems that they use and that I use, or like packaging products, right? So we're sharing information with each other, and they've done so much to build up industry and my product line. My business wouldn't be as successful if they weren't as successful as they are. So there's a friendly competition with it, and we have respect for each other, and we will make each other better.
And you're legitimately friends. We're all friends.
Yeah,
right?
we're friends. Absolutely. So, and I really think there's an opportunity, because gosh, when you think about it, there's so many different facets of this business. Like if you're a detailer, you might not be doing dent repair or window tinting or film, and maybe you're going to take some of that on, but you also have to outsource a lot of it. You need to know local painters. So networking in your own local network is super important too.
Yeah, and be able to just get those connections. I had dinner with Tony Pando and a bunch of PDR guys.
Yeah.
But one of the PDR guys, who I didn't know originally, he's got one of the most successful PDR podcasts in that industry. And so I'm looking at him like, hey, we want to look at that as a vertical, right, for Detailer's Roadmap. What do you think about that? So we were able to I'm gleaning information from him, and cross-pollinating, right?
Yeah.
You've been using that word.
No, and that's where just asking questions. You just have to ask questions, and you can't get really deep on that on social media.
Yeah, no.
It happens in person, at dinner, and after the show. So.
Well, and it's funny because it becomes that, and one of my goals is to try to have these more genuine, deeper connections, right, with people.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I'm recording, and then the next day he walks by and he's like, hey, I would not know who he was otherwise, but now I have a connection with him to be able to foster that. And I think these events are awesome at that.
Yep.
So, But hey, man, I really appreciate you coming on board. How do people find out more information about AutoFiber?
Just
because you have a pro plan, you have all sorts of different things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we have AutoFiber.com, but if you're a professional detailer, we have a separate website. You can come and on AutoFiber apply for a wholesale program, and we have a separate website, AutoFiber Pro, that is special for you. It's like a club, and you get a 30% discount on all the products.
Get your home phone number. It's really nice.
Yeah. But yeah, so we really want to give you the best price on the products and help you buy the products in bulk for your business. So I really encourage you to come to AutoFiber and sign up for our Wholesale Pro program. And we're launching all kinds of new products all the time.
And the new mitt on a stick.
The new mitt on a stick.
For that?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we just redesigned the mitt on a stick. We've been out of stock for a couple months, but now we just got a huge shipment of them. And so people are real excited about that. That's a huge time saver and efficiency product. Even for smaller vehicles, it's not just for RVs or big trucks or anything. We have a lot of customers that are selling those types of products to their customers. So that's actually a big piece of growth for our business, is detailers selling and merchandising their stores and selling our products and other types of brands and products in their store. So if you haven't done that, I just talked to a detailer, and he does no advertising, and he does $150,000 of product sale out of his store. That's
cool.
just an add-on.
Yeah.
And it makes their store look nicer and more professional. And that's just selling products to customers and other
maintenance
types.
kits and people coming in and other detailers and all that, right?
So that's a huge, just thing you can add on to your detail business as a little extra stream of income.
I love it. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Absolutely.
Head over to detailersroadmap.com and get your one-stop success solution today.